8 compliments that make women fall for you. Vertical bar, proven attraction, psychology. Stop complimenting women on their appearance. I know that sounds completely backwards. I know that goes against everything you've been told, everything you've tried, and honestly, everything that feels natural and obvious in the moment. But here's what decades of relationship psychology research has made crystal clear. The compliments that most men default to are the exact compliments that trigger the least amount of genuine attraction. And today I'm going to show you exactly why, and more importantly, exactly what to say instead. I'm Dr. Julie, a behavioral psychologist with over 22 years of clinical experience studying human attraction, relationship formation, and the psychology of connection. What I'm going to share with you today isn't pop culture advice. It isn't something I read on a social media post. This comes directly from the science, and the results are going to surprise you. In 2019, researchers at the University of California, Berkeley conducted a landmark study involving over 1,400 participants across multiple age groups and relationship stages. They found that compliments targeting a woman's character, intelligence, and unique personal qualities increased reported emotional connection by 63% compared to compliments focused purely on physical appearance. 63%. That number should stop you in your tracks because most men are spending all of their energy on the wrong category entirely. Now, before we dive into the full list, I want to tease something for you because the number one most powerful compliment on this list is something that almost no man ever says. It's not romantic in the traditional sense. It doesn't sound like something from a movie. But in study after study, it is the single compliment most strongly correlated with women reporting deep, lasting attraction to a man. I'll tell you exactly what it is before the end of this video, and I promise it will completely reframe the way you think about this. But first, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now and tell me your age and the last compliment you gave a woman that you felt really landed or one that fell completely flat. I personally read every single comment on this channel, and your answer is going to help me make the next video even more useful for you specifically. Now, let's get into it. We're counting down from number 8 to number 1, ranked from powerful to absolutely life-changing. Coming in at number 8, and this one already puts you ahead of 90% of men out there complimenting her taste, are not her clothes, not her style in a generic sense. Her taste in music, in books, in restaurants, in films, in the specific details she chooses to surround herself with. This is a completely different psychological category, and the distinction matters enormously. Here's why. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that when individuals feel their aesthetic sensibilities, their taste are recognized and validated by someone they're getting to know, their reported interest in that person spikes by an average of 38%. The reason for this is deeply rooted in identity psychology. Think of taste like a fingerprint. It's one of the most personal, carefully constructed expressions of who someone is. When you compliment a woman's taste, you're not commenting on something that happened to her genetically, like her eye color or her bone structure. You're recognizing something she actively curated. You're seeing her choices as a reflection of a rich inner world. Practically speaking, this compliment only works if it's specific. You have great taste is weak and generic, and she won't believe it. But I can't believe you love that album. Most people have never even heard of it, and the fact that it's your favorite says a lot about you, that lands completely differently. It signals that you're paying attention, that you've done the work of actually noticing who she is. It also creates an instant point of genuine connection, because now you're in a real conversation, not a performance. The synergy tip here is to pair this compliment with a genuine question. The compliment opens the door, and the question walks you both through it. Ask her what drew her to that thing she loves, and then actually listen. The combination of being seen and being asked to go deeper is extraordinarily powerful in early attraction. Now, if complimenting her taste puts you at number 8, what happens when you start recognizing not just what she loves, but who she actually is as a person, and you say it out loud? Number 7 is the compliment of witnessing, and almost no one talks about this. Witnessing means acknowledging something you noticed about her that she didn't ask you to notice. Not a compliment she set up for you by wearing a new outfit or doing her hair differently. A compliment for something she probably didn't even think was visible. The unguarded moments, the quiet strengths, the things she does without an audience. Researchers at the University of Michigan studying relational validation found that feeling genuinely witnessed by another person, meaning seen in an unself-conscious moment, activates the same neurological reward pathways as receiving a gift, the same pathways. And when that witnessing comes from someone a woman is attracted to or is beginning to feel attracted to, the emotional imprint is significantly stronger and longer lasting than standard compliments. Consider the fictional but deeply illustrative story of a man named Robert, 58 years old, from Nashville, Tennessee. Robert had been divorced for 6 years and had largely given up on the idea that he could make a woman feel genuinely special. He came to me after a series of short-lived dates where women seemed politely uninterested after an initial spark. The problem wasn't his appearance or his conversation skills. The problem was that every compliment he gave was reactive. He only complimented things women directly presented to him. I told him to start watching. On his next date, the woman, a teacher named Patricia, quietly slid extra napkins to the table behind her because she noticed a child had spilled a drink without saying a word to anyone. At the end of the evening, Robert said to her, "Can I tell you something I noticed about you tonight?" And he told her what she did with those napkins. Patricia told me later, because she became one of my clients after they married, that it was the moment she knew Robert was different from every man she'd met in years. To use this compliment practically, you have to first slow down enough to actually observe, stop performing, and start watching. When you notice something real, something she did with kindness or grace or competence that she didn't announce, name it. Specifically, "I noticed that you did this and I thought it was remarkable." That's it. No exaggeration required. The specificity is everything. Pair this with genuine eye contact when you say it. The witnessing compliment delivered while looking away or while distracted loses almost all of its power. She needs to feel that you stopped, that you turned toward her, and that you're saying something that actually cost you a moment of vulnerability to say out loud. So we've talked about recognizing her taste and witnessing her unseen moments. But what happens when you acknowledge something even deeper, the way she thinks? Number 6, complimenting her mind. And I mean her specific mind, not intelligence as a general category. There is a massive and important difference between saying "you're so smart" and saying "the way your mind works genuinely fascinates me." One is a generic label, the other is an experience. And women, particularly women who have spent years being reduced to their appearance, respond to the latter with a level of emotional openness that most men never get to witness. A Harvard study on intellectual attraction published in 2021 found that sapiosexual responses, that is, attraction triggered by engaging with someone's intelligence, were significantly higher in women than in men across all age demographics. But more specifically, the study found that women reported the deepest attraction not simply to intelligent men, but to men who actively noticed and appreciated their intelligence. Being smart wasn't the attraction trigger. Being seen as smart by someone they respected was. What this means practically is that you need to be listening closely enough to notice the specific character of her thinking. Does she make unexpected connections between ideas? Does she ask questions that reframe the whole conversation? Does she have a particular kind of lateral thinking that catches you off guard? That's what you name. You just made a connection there that I never would have made, and I've been thinking about it for the last 10 minutes, is a compliment that lives in her mind for days, because you just told her that her mind left a mark on yours. The key preparation tip here is to go into every conversation with a listening posture rather than a performing posture. Most men are so focused on what they're going to say next that they miss the extraordinary things being said to them. Turn that around entirely. Your job in the conversation is to catch the moments where her thinking surprises you, and then to say so out loud. That act of intellectual mirroring, "you just changed the way I think about this," is incredibly rare and correspondingly powerful. Synergy tip: pair this compliment with a follow-up that shows you absorbed what she said. Repeat her idea back to her in your own words and build on it. This tells her not only that you found her thinking impressive, but that it was genuinely worth thinking about further. That combination, recognition plus integration, creates an intellectual intimacy that is deeply attractive. Number 5, and this is where we start entering territory that most men never even consider, complimenting her courage. Not bravery in a dramatic physical sense, courage in the everyday sense. The courage it takes to hold an unpopular opinion in a room full of people. The courage to have left a bad situation and rebuilt her life. The courage to be honest when it would have been easier to be polite. The courage to pursue something she loves, even when people around her didn't understand it. Research from Stanford's Social Neuroscience Laboratory has shown that acknowledging someone's moral or emotional courage, specifically naming an act as requiring bravery, produces a profound sense of being valued that goes far beyond typical social praise. The reason is that courage implies a cost. When you tell a woman that took real courage, you're telling her that you understand what that moment required of her, that you understand she had something to lose, and that you respect her for choosing the harder path anyway. Think about what that means. You're not just saying, good job, you're saying, I see what this cost you and I think you're remarkable for paying it. That is a completely different emotional register. Let me tell you about Margaret, 64 years old from Portland, Oregon. Margaret had spent 3 decades in a marriage that slowly eroded her sense of self. When she finally left at 61, she felt invisible, irrelevant, and convinced that no man would ever see her as anything other than a woman past her prime. She started attending a community discussion group, and there was a man named Thomas in that group who noticed how she spoke. He noticed that she said difficult, true things in moments when others stayed quiet. One evening after the meeting, he found a moment alone with her and said simply, I want you to know that I've noticed how honest you are in that room. That kind of honesty takes real courage, and it's one of the most attractive things I've ever encountered in a person. Margaret told me that those words reached a part of her she thought had died. They married 2 years later. The practical application here is to pay attention to moments of small bravery in conversation and in action. When you witness it, name it as courage, don't soften it, don't hedge, say it directly and with conviction. The certainty of your recognition is what gives the compliment its full weight. Number 4, and right here, I want to pause and say something to you directly. If this video is helping you see attraction differently, if you're realizing that the science of connection goes so much deeper than what you've been taught, please take 5 seconds right now and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need exactly this kind of information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because what's coming in the top 3 is going to be the most counterintuitive and most powerful material in this entire video. I don't want you to miss it. Now, number 4, complimenting her presence. Not her looks, not her energy in a vague New Age sense, her actual presence, the effect she has on a room, the effect she has on the people around her, the effect she has on you specifically, on your experience of time and attention. A 2020 study conducted by the University of Toronto's Department of Psychology found that individuals who were told by a romantic interest that their presence was specifically meaningful, that being around them produced a distinct and notable experience, reported feeling more genuinely valued than individuals who received any other category of compliment, including compliments about appearance, intelligence, or achievement. Presence is the whole person. When you honor someone's presence, you're honoring the totality of who they are in a moment, which is the highest possible form of recognition. Practically, this compliment sounds like, I don't know how to explain this exactly, but time moves differently when I'm talking with you. I notice I'm more alert. I'm more interested in what I'm thinking and saying. That doesn't happen often, and I wanted you to know it. That is not flattery. That is an observed reality stated with vulnerability. And vulnerability from a man, stated with calm confidence rather than neediness, is one of the most reliably attractive things in the psychological literature on attraction. The synergy tip here is timing. This compliment should never come at the beginning of an interaction. It earns its full power after you've spent real time together. It should feel like a conclusion you arrived at honestly, not an opening line you prepared. Pair it with physical stillness when you say it. Stop moving. Hold her gaze. Let there be a breath of silence before you continue. The stillness signals that what you're about to say is true, considered, and real. Number 3, complimenting her effect on others. This one requires a slight shift in perspective because the compliment isn't about something she did for you. It's about something you noticed her doing for other people, and the fact that you noticed and the fact that it moved you. Psychologists studying pro-social attraction, that is, attraction generated through witnessing someone's kindness or generosity, have found that observing a potential partner being genuinely good to another person activates attraction, responses up to 72% more reliably than observing physical attractiveness alone. This is sometimes called the halo of warmth effect. When you see someone be kind, and that kindness is real and unperformed, something in the human brain responds to it as a deeply desirable quality. Evolution has hardwired us to find genuine goodness attractive in a partner. But here's what takes this from passive observation to active attraction: when you tell her what you saw and what it made you feel. When you say, "I was watching you with your friend earlier," the way you listened to her, and I thought that is a rare quality. Not a lot of people know how to actually be present for someone else like that. That tells her something extraordinary. It tells her that you were watching with enough care to notice a quiet moment. It tells her that you value emotional intelligence. And it tells her that what she did, which she probably didn't even think twice about, mattered enough to leave an impression on someone like you. The preparation tip here is simply to expand your field of observation whenever you're with her. Don't just watch her in relation to you. Watch her in relation to the world. How does she treat the server at a restaurant? How does she interact with strangers who ask for directions? How does she respond to a friend who's clearly having a bad day? Those moments are the real her, and naming what you see in those moments is one of the most intimate and powerful things you can do. Number 2, and I want you to really hear this one, complimenting her becoming, not who she is, not who she was, who she is in the process of becoming. Her growth, her transformation, the fact that you can see in real time that she is someone actively engaged in making herself more fully herself. This compliment is so rare that most women have never received it. And when they do, from a man who says it with genuine observation behind it, the effect on attraction is, and I'm using a word I don't use lightly, profound. Research from the Gottman Institute, which has spent over 4 decades studying the architecture of successful relationships, found that one of the most powerful predictors of long-term relationships, satisfaction for women, was feeling that their partner recognized and celebrated their growth as a person, not just who they were when they met, but who they were actively becoming. And while the Gottman research focuses on long-term relationships, the same principle applies in the early stages of attraction. Feeling that someone sees your trajectory, not just your snapshot, creates a depth of connection that appearance-based compliments simply cannot access. What this sounds like in practice: every time I talk with you, I feel like I'm watching someone who's in a really intentional relationship with their own life. Like you're not just living it, you're shaping it. I find that genuinely inspiring. Or more simply, you're clearly someone who's always growing. I can feel it in how you talk about things. It's one of the most attractive qualities I've ever encountered. Notice that none of this requires knowing her for years. You can observe signs of a growth mindset in a single conversation. You can hear it in the way she talks about her past, not with bitterness or nostalgia, but with understanding and forward motion. The woman who says, "I used to think that, but I've completely changed my mind," is showing you her becoming, and the man who names it and honors it has just given her something no mirror or compliment about her eyes ever could. And now, number 1, the most powerful compliment in the psychology of attraction, the one that research says leaves the deepest and most lasting impression, the one that almost no man ever thinks to say. Are you ready? Here it is. Compliment her impact on you specifically, the way knowing her has changed you. Not "you're amazing," not "being with you is wonderful," but this: "You have made me a better version of myself. Knowing you the way you think, the way you move through the world has genuinely changed me. And I wanted you to know that." Let me tell you why this is so extraordinarily powerful from a psychological standpoint. Every other compliment on this list, as meaningful as each one is fundamentally about her, and being seen and valued is deeply important. But this compliment does something none of the others do. It makes her a protagonist in your story. It tells her that she has power, real meaningful power, not over you, in a controlling sense, but in the most flattering possible sense. The power to change someone for the better, the power to leave a mark on a life. A landmark study from the University of Rochester, published in 2022, which analyzed over 2,600 relationships in various stages of formation and development, found that the experience of feeling personally transformative to a romantic partner was the single strongest predictor of deep, sustained emotional attachment, stronger than shared interests. stronger than physical chemistry, stronger even than compatibility scores on formal relationship assessments. Women who felt that they had changed their partner for the better reported bonding responses that were 81% stronger than women who felt valued but not transformative. Think about what you are giving her when you say this. You are giving her the experience of mattering in the deepest possible way, not mattering because she's beautiful, which is something she had no role in creating, not mattering because she's interesting, which is subjective and fleeting, mattering because she contributed something irreplaceable to the ongoing story of who you are becoming. That is a gift with no ceiling. Now, the crucial caveat, and this is the difference between this compliment being the most powerful thing you've ever said and being completely ineffective or worse, insincere. You have to mean it. You have to have actually noticed something about who you are when you're around her that is genuinely different, more curious, more open, more thoughtful, more alive, and you have to be able to name what specifically changed and how. Vagueness kills this compliment entirely. You've changed me, with nothing behind it, is meaningless. But since I started spending time with you, I find myself being more patient. I've noticed that I listen more carefully to people. I think it's because you model a kind of attention I've never seen before, and it's made me want to be that way too. That is a human experience stated with full honesty, and it will reach her somewhere that no other compliment ever has. Let me bring this full circle, because I want to leave you with something important. The 8 compliments we've covered today, her taste, her unseen moments, her specific mind, her courage, her presence, her effect on others, her becoming, and finally, her impact on who you are. All of them share one common foundation. They are all compliments that require you to have actually paid attention. They cannot be faked, they cannot be recycled, they cannot be deployed as techniques without the genuine observation behind them. And here is what that means for you. Becoming the kind of man who gives these compliments isn't really about learning new lines. It's about cultivating a new quality of attention. It's about deciding to slow down enough to actually see the woman in front of you, all of her, not just the surface, and then having the courage to say out loud what you genuinely notice. That quality of attention, that radical willingness to truly see another person is one of the rarest and most attractive things a human being can offer. And it is available to you right now, today, regardless of your age, your relationship history, your past failures, or how long it's been since you felt genuinely connected to someone. It is never too late to become the kind of man who makes people feel deeply seen. In fact, the research suggests that men who develop this capacity later in life, who bring decades of lived experience and hard-won self-awareness to their relationships, often form the deepest and most enduring connections of all. You are not behind, you are exactly where you are, and this is exactly the right moment to begin. If this video opened something up for you, if it gave you a new way of seeing or a new language for connection, I want to hear about it in the comments. Tell me which of these 8 compliments surprised you most. Tell me which one you're going to try first. And tell me your age, because I've found that the wisdom that comes with life experience makes these principles land even more powerfully, and I'd love to know who's watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. Every week, I bring you the science of human connection, attraction, and relationship psychology translated into something you can actually use in your real life. The studies are all linked in the description below, and I answer questions in the comments every single week. I'll see you in the next one.